Reaperman here with another special controller video. This time we have the Competition Pro controller NES variant. Now this is a controller I did not even know existed until a couple of weeks ago, and as soon as I found out I had to get one. Now I'm sure all of my Euroland kind of fans are screaming into the comments right now about what an idiot I was for not knowing it existed, but I didn't, and I fixed myself as soon as I found out. Now, bottom line up front, this controller is not as good as I hoped it would be. I hoped it would be as good as the Epix 500XJ's NES version, also known as the Konik Speed King for the people over in Europe. And that controller is absolutely fantastic for retro-styled NES games and also for the cores on NT Mini. This one's not quite as good. We'll get there. So let's walk around it first. Now this thing is in a lovely dark green and vacuum metallized silver finish. It's got micro switches all the way around the stick and the two buttons, at least the two buttons. I think these two are actually gamepad style. Now on the back it's got a turbo slash slow motion slider that is probably best just left in the middle position, aka off. And the biggest problem with this controller, just getting right down to it, is going to be the button layout. So the button layout you might think is going to be BA. That would actually be kind of a terrible button layout. What it actually is perhaps slightly worse. This is B, this little triangle is A. This big button over here is start, this little one is select. So that's what you're dealing with this thing. Now because of that, you're not actually going to have much luck with even the NES Commodore 64 style games like Supercars here, Elite, Cybernoid, or Adventures of Dizzy. You're going to be on these two buttons. That's all right. It does confine this stick to being right-handed use as well, so it's not like these two and then these two are mirrors of each other and they have start and select somewhere else. That would have been another way to handle it. Or even just BA and then have the opposite one up above, I guess. I don't know how they should have done it, but probably not like they did. Now, the biggest use case I can think for this thing in its present case then is with one of these USB adapters and the Mister. Because if you get this thing on the Mister, then you can reconfigure all the buttons. Not you can reconfigure the buttons, you're going to have to reconfigure the buttons being Mister. But they make that fairly painless. Other than that, this is actually a fairly nice controller. It's got roughly the exact same case shape as this kind of modern Commodore 64 controller I bought. This one's from, I believe, speedlink.net. Yes, speedlink.net. And I guess this controller is still like 10 years old, but this one has a little bit lighter spring, and this guy is a little bit stiffer. But yeah, the micro switches feel pretty good. There isn't a lot of play, which should make them pretty good for Pac-Man and Pac-Man likes. Supercars here is going to rely on the A button for acceleration, so you're going to be wailing on this triangle pretty much exclusively in the game, so that's actually not going to be much fun. However, if you do have one of these NT Minis, what we can do here is we can go select and down, we can go into cores, and for one button games, the one button it uses happens to be B, I believe, or else A and B are the same. We'll see. Anyway, let's go into Atari 2600 for example, and we just got to get the core a little bit of time to reconfigure here. Hit B, go down into, let's go to Asteroids. That's pretty close. Asteroids. So this is actually going to be acceptable for one button games, so that is another kind of interesting use for it here. Let's there we go. So you're still going to be able to do what you need to do on a one button game, but this is going to be severely limiting your options even on the NT Mini here. Whoop. And again, the main way I plan to use this thing is going to be on my Mister with this thing right here. But then again, I'm actually not the largest fan of the Epix 5 or the Competition Pro, because I am a fan of the Epix 500XJ, and the Competition Pro was more for Commodore people, and growing up I was an Atari 800 guy, so I wasn't a Commodore guy, so that's kind of where I sit on that one. Anyway, I don't really like making negative videos, so I'm not going to dwell on this one. I do plan to keep bringing you more interesting controllers in the future. I've got a couple of them on auction, and until next time, Reaper Man out.